If you're not fully up to date with this series already, check out the playlist link in the top right of the video right now. The first action of today's episode comes in South Wales, with a trip to Steve Cooper's former team, Swansea City. There was some early action, with just after 3 minutes Welshman Brennan Johnson having a good run down the right, forcing an early corner kick. From the resulting corner, Johnson had another chance, this time from the edge of the box. Only the top of the net could be found, but it was a good start for the Reds. Swansea wouldn't need long until their first action of the half either. Ethan Laird, on loan from Manchester United, stormed down the right. Poor defending from McKenna saw a volley and a good save from Bree Samba, but he couldn't get up in time to stop Laird's second attempt from 5 yards out, and it was 1-0 to the Swans. With Forest behind, they needed an instant reaction. Pushing for an equaliser 15 minutes later, Davies was played through well by the Paraguayan Ojeda, who managed to be strong enough to hold off the defender and make it 1-1. With Forest now level, it was again Ojeda who managed to play through Johnson this time. Using his pace and some good skill, he really should have done better than the weak shot that was easily saved by the Swansea keeper. Early in the second half, some interesting refereeing saw Davies get prevented from smashing his way through, with a potential one-on-one pulled back to give a yellow card. With the game in stoppage time, Forest would have one final attack. Jack Colback saw Davies' run, who just about had enough stamina to try and get through. However, Swans defender Ryan Manning was just fast enough to prevent a late winner, and the game would end 1-1 in South Wales. Playing against the team with the worst defence in the league while also being at home made Forest huge favourites for the 23rd game of the season. It didn't take Hull long to show why they had such a poor defensive record, with the nothing chance from a through ball seeing almost one of the worst own goals, but Hull just about managing to keep the ball out their own net. Hull's defence might be weak, but they do also have a pretty strong attack. Forest nearly fell vulnerable to this after 10 minutes, with a pullback somehow hitting the bar and then a quality save keeping it 0-0. Hull were looking encouraged, hoping to get valuable points against the promotion-chasing team. They started playing some of the slickest football of the season. 5 first-touch passes carved open Forest, and they were behind at home. However, just before half-time, in a rare start, Joe Lolly saw a low cross be deflected twice, with Davies not knowing too much about the ricochet that saw Forest equalise. It was his 10th of the season, but the worst goal he'll score by far. Again, Lolly was a big part of Forest's next chance. With some awful defending from Hull leaving Davies unmarked, he unleashed an almost unstoppable shot from the edge of the box that was palmed into the side netting. Forest were now ahead. With Davies now on a hat-trick, Johnson's dribble and Spence's pass inside saw a flick-up and a powerful volley that this time was saved by Ingram in the Tigers' net. By now, if you've watched any of our matches this season, you can probably guess what happened from the resulting corner. An in-swinger was found by a leaping Davies who managed to earn himself his first match ball of the season, and it was 3-1 to the Reds. Lolly, not content with his assist, this time used some skill to beat his man, before unleashing a powerful prime Lolly volley that bounced just clear. It would be the last real chance of the game, and it ended 3-1 with a deserved win for Forest. You can really see why Hull are struggling so bad, with an awful defensive performance in Nottingham. Next up was Forest's first ever quarter-final appearance since 1996. While it was against Bayern Munich in the Europa League last time, today it was Port Vale in the League Cup. It was a pretty unusual last 16, with teams like Burton, Gillingham, Port Vale and Stevenage, the latter of whom beat Man City on penalties, making it much further in the competition than you'd probably expect. Forest went into the game huge favourites. Zingarnago had the first chance, with him playing on the right to rest Brennan Johnson for the league. Narrowly wide this time, but it was a warning shot from the Reds. He'd have the next chance too, with very little happening between the 12th and 45th minutes. With a Dane one-on-one, he kept himself cool to roll the ball past the goalkeeper and then finished into the empty net. Forest fans were singing about Wembley, and who could blame them? Zingarnago once again was part of the third Forest chance. His ball through to Allen looked perfect, but just about rolled too far and was collected by the goalkeeper. After a ball was rolled out to the left wing back Matt Bonswell, yet again, the Dane was on fire. This time he leapt like a salmon and almost powered a header into the back of the net. It was all Forest as the fans had expected. Alex Myton showed some elite level control, strength and trickery in the next chance. beating a man for pace and then another one for skill, before Graben and Lolly both failed to make it count with more good play from the Forest wings. Despite fans expecting a rout, that's exactly how it would end. Lolly looked like he could be in right in the last minute, but the referee judged the game over and Forest were through to the League Cup semi-final thanks to a bizarrely easy draw. It would be Chelsea in the semi-finals. Next up after our cup game was a trip to the northeast of England, with a fellow playoff chasing match against Middlesbrough, with them hosting Forest. It didn't take long for Borough to show they were in the mood for goals. Piero, Watmore and Sporar combined, but only the side netting this time. Watmore was again the centre of attention a few minutes later, when his violent lunge made the man in red see red. They were down to 10 men. With a chance and a red card in the first 10 minutes, it was going to be an action-packed game. It was Sporar's turn to take the limelight with a blast into the top corner that was unsavable, 1-0 to Borough. Before even 15 minutes had passed, this time it was Forest's turn for attack. Davies lofted one through, and after a few lucky bounces, Johnson managed a shot from inside the 6-yard box that was well saved by Joe Lumley. It took a surprisingly long time for the next chance, but 30 minutes in, Brennan used his blistering pace to pull away from the Borough defence, with only teammate Spence able to keep up. A simple pass across, but a dodgy finish just about made it inside the post. It was 1-1 on T-side. Samba now felt like turning on the style himself. A close-range save first denied Sporar, with a corner conceded. Forest fumbled the clearance, with Lowe chesting it perfectly for another magnificent save to be forced out of the French goalkeeper. From the second corner, now 2 minutes over the signalled amount of stoppage time, yet another piece of awful defending saw the ball fall to a Borough player. It was just about driven into the Forest goal to see Borough go in ahead at half-time. Forest came out firing in the second half and had a couple of minor chances early on. However, it was Fisher who managed to beat the Forest goalkeeper for skill before Sporar powered home his second goal of the game and made it 3-1 to Borough. Forest don't just give up. Yates found winger Zinkernagel, whose through ball saw Davies and was ideal. Lumley just about managed to keep his chip out of the net, but there was still more goals in this game. With the game coming to an end, all it took was a single lofted pass into Piero, who deftly cut it across for Andras Sporar to make it a hat-trick, and it looked like Forest had been defeated. As always though, with a late corner, Forest were a threat. This time Carvalho's cross was met by Zinkernagel, who finally managed to beat Lumley. With 5 minutes to go, once again Carvalho used his vision to spot the flanking Dane. A good finish, and it looked like Forest could be back in the match. With Forest fully focused on attack, Isaiah Jones was left unmarked and Yates' last-ditch interception attempt failed. It was 5-3 to Borough, and that's how the match would finish. High scoring, but overall pretty poor quality defending for both sides. It was finally time for the transfer window, and Director of Football Dane Murphy had already scoured the globe for 4 key signings to move the team forwards. Richie Larea had already joined the club after his MLS contract had ended with Toronto, but 4 more signings came through the doors in early January 2022. Having conceded 41 goals in their first 25 games, a centre-back did seem important. Forest didn't need to look further than sister club Olympiacos, who had former Arsenal centre-back Socrates willing to move to Nottingham. It was a big signing, and he has a big reputation to try and rebuild in England, but for less than £2 million and £25,000 a week wages, he's not too expensive and comes in at Forest's highest rated player. Next up was cover for both left wing back and centre midfield. With both being important positions for how the formation Forest were using, they splashed the cash on struggling Barnsley's Callum Styles. $4.4 million for a 21-year-old with bags of potential might seem a lot, but I think he'll definitely repay this fee over the next 6 months. Cover on the wing was also seen as important. Belgian Luca Oyen's father, Davy Oyen, used to play for Nottingham Forest back in the early 2000s. Luca was actually born in Nottingham, so he was of course interested in a return to the city he was born when Forest offered him a multi-year contract. He would eventually become a key player if he can reach his potential, and for the Championship, £5,500 a week is nothing, so it's only positives from all sides. Finally, another suggestion from Olympiacos, no doubt to try and weaken their league competitors, was signing Panathinaikos' Sotiris Alexandropoulos. A good all-round box-to-box midfielder, he'd be competing with Styles, Oyeda, Cafu and Garner for the second midfield position. Eventually he'd be replacing Garner when his loan finished and he returns to Manchester United. But moving from a small league saw his wage demands be much smaller than you'd expect, and it was another good bargain for Nottingham Forest. Thank you for all your suggestions on any transfers. Alexandropoulos and Styles were both suggestions on a recent community post, so if you've got any other suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe if you don't want to miss another episode in this series. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll try and get these out a little bit faster going forwards. They do take longer than you'd expect, so please do bear with me if you are waiting a week or two in between them, because I do still have a full-time job. But maybe consider becoming a channel member if you do think I should get them out a little bit faster so I can quit my job. Thank you all for watching. Like I said, comment any suggestions for anything and I'd love to read them all. Thanks for watching and I'll see you very soon. Cheers and goodbye.